Hi, this is Zach with Worn and Wound. Today I'm very excited to present to you the Nomos Club. This is a watch that, as affordable watch fans, you really should be aware of because these are German-made watches with the exceptional feature of having in-house caliber movements. The brand Nomos, which is based in Glashütte, Germany, is one of 3 brands in Glashütte that makes their own in-house calibers, which is to say the movement in this watch is not bought from another company. They build it. It was designed, engineered, and built entirely by them. And they do this alongside of the two kind of behemoth luxury brands, Lange & Söhne and Glashütte Original. The biggest difference, though, and why we're featuring at Worn and Wound, is that their watches range from $1,450 to just about $6,000, making them a very, very unique brand in the watch world. And their watches themselves are also just beautiful, well-designed, well-engineered, and unique watches. So taking a look now, this is the Club model. And this model comes in a bunch of different variations, but what we have here is the most basic form, and these are the least expensive watches made by the brand. You have here the Club basic model. It's a manual wound model that runs $1,450, and for that you're getting this in-house alpha hand wound movement and a stainless steel back, as well as just various design features that we'll discuss through the review. Now here you have the Club Dunkel. It's essentially the same watch, same movement, same design, different colorway all around. And this one features a sapphire caseback in which you can see the Nomos Alpha movement. And this watch runs $1,720. The case of the Nomos Club is a really nice mix of dress and sport. This model, the manual model, is a 36mm diameter, making it fairly small, with a 46mm lug-to-lug width, which is kind of like surprisingly long, so it kind of balances out the small diameter size. The watch is only 8.17mm thick, so it is also a very thin watch, as you can see. Overall, the design, like I said, it's a mix of dress and sport. It has a very kind of nice, even finishing all around. If one interesting thing about it is that the design is actually kind of a two-piece design. So the main body of the case does not separate at the bezel point. And so you have this very smooth contour here, which just, adds to the overall fluidity of the design. And you can see that leads into this sapphire crystal here, which has a very, very, very gentle dome, but also sits just ever so slightly outside of the case. So you have this little lip, which to me kind of almost relates to vintage acrylic kind of domed look. So it really just kind of adds a lot of kind of appeal to the look of the watch. At 3 o'clock you have a push-pull crown. It's a small crown, but it's kind of long, so it has kind of a nice proportioning to it. Once again, a mix of dress and sport. Flipping it over now, this model has a stainless steel case back, very clean, very simple, large logo, and various details about the watch going around. I really like the look of this, and I think it's a little striking actually how long these lugs are. But on the wrist, what this actually kind of does for it is allow the watch to not feel small, kind of balance it out, and also lets it sit nicely on the surface of the wrist. The case of the Club Dunkel is the same ostensibly and aesthetically, except for on the flip side, on the case back, you have a sapphire window. Now this does increase the price from $1,450 to $1,720. Before that, you are getting this great view of the Nomos Alpha in-house caliber, which chances are is a big reason why you're buying the watch. So the Alpha in-house caliber is their most simple movement. It was also, I believe, their first movement they made. It is a 17-jewel hand-wound movement. It has hacking seconds, which is nice. And it has a very nice decoration around it. You have this 3/4 Glashütte plate here with Glashütte stripes or Geneva stripes. You have on the ratchet and crown wheel here this kind of sunbursting, which is very nice when you kind of move it around in the light. Blued screws throughout, and then underneath the balance wheel here you can see that there is a kind of a perlage pattern. So this is a very well finished movement, a very refined movement, and in terms of operation of it, it winds very smoothly. It has a 43-hour power reserve. Like I said, when you pull the crown out, see the seconds, the small register seconds here does stop. Using it, it has kept excellent time. I've had no issues with it. It's you know, it's a very high quality movement as you'd expect, and it really is, at, you know, considering the price of this watch, a very strong selling point for the Nomos Club. Taking a look now at the dials of the Club series, in my hand now I have the kind of light version, and this one features a white silver dial, which is a really interesting dial. It kind of shifts colors. In photographs sometimes it looks just straight white or very cream colored, but it really kind of ranges from white to steel gray to cream. It really depends on the lighting you're in, and I really like that. I think it works very nicely with the overall kind of dress sport aesthetic. Now looking in at the dial design, you have this large hour indices here with numerals for the even hours and then rectangles for the odd, and that is done in kind of a dark gray. It's a few shades lighter than black, and that works nicely. It has a kind of a softer feel against the silver dial than a black would. And then around the outer edge you have another indices for the minutes, and for that, for the interval of every 5 minutes, you have these kind of hot orange numerals, which I love that detail. I think it's a very unique and interesting detail, especially on a watch with this aesthetic. It's almost a little daring, it's definitely a little surprising, and I think it just makes the overall look so much more fun. Above 6 o'clock, you have the active seconds hand, and that whole kind of sub-dial is actually recessed a little bit and has a concentric circle pattern, which adds some nice finishing and nice texture to the dial. And that has also just a very kind of a dark gray non-numerical indices. The hand there is a stark black. Looking then at the main hour and minute hand, you have these kind of simple sword shapes presented in a deep gloss black with once again this very bright orange filling. It's just such a cool look. I think it really kind of sets the watch apart from really anything on the market, aesthetically speaking. Unfortunately, that filling is not loomed, so this style has no glowing elements to it. Then you have the logo here, Nomos Glashut, below 12, very restrained, presented very nicely. In the very base here you have made in Germany. Overall, there's very little text, you know, which is not really surprising given the kind of Bauhaus design style of the brand. Everything's very restrained and very refined. Yeah, I really love this look. I think it's a little bit vintage, a little sport, a little dress. It's the kind of thing that you can really wear with almost anything. Taking a look now at the Club Dunkel model. This is the darker colorway. Dunkel means dark. And this in photos might actually look almost black, but in person the dial is actually a dark gray with a little bit of a kind of a warm hue to it, so kind of almost slightly brown look to it. And I think that's really nice. It kind of makes this feel, with the rest of the colorway, almost like a vintage military field watch or something that, you know, maybe was dated to the 40s. The slightly faded look almost is like a faux patina, but it doesn't look forced at all. And, you know, I'm really just saying it kind of looks like that. Overall, it's a very nice look that's a lot more kind of restrained and almost wearable than something that would be stark black. Looking in the numeral indices here is a very kind of light green color, and then the outer minute indices has a slightly less fluorescent orange. Overall, it has this kind of, like I said, this nice kind of warmth to it. And the biggest difference functionally between this and the other model is that this one actually does feature lume. The hour indices and the hands are filled with a superluminova that glows a very light blue. Like I said, I kind of wish that the other model did have lume with it, because it is just a very nice feature to have on a kind of, you know, a sportier watch. The hands here are presented in a stainless steel rather than black. It's still very legible. And just taking a quick look at them side by side, you know, they're both very, very aesthetically very strong, although the overall feeling of them is, you know, I think kind of very different. The silver, you know, might be a little bit more dressy, where the black or Dunkel model is a little bit more sport. Taking a look now at the club on the wrist, this is the 36mm version. There are other versions that range in price, and those go up to the low 40s. But the 36mm version, you know, it's a very small watch, for a contemporary watch, but I think it sits quite nicely on my 7-inch wrist here. Like I said, it has surprisingly long lugs for a watch this diameter, so it does actually, kind of range nicely from one side of the wrist to the other. And it has, this nice kind of dress casual, overall, appearance to it. The colors and everything, I think this is just a remarkably styled watch in both colorways. If you take a look, I don't think you can go wrong with either choice here. Taking a look at the strap now, the watch has an 18mm lug width, and both come on these Horween shell cordovan straps. If you don't know, shell cordovan is a very high-grade leather. It's used in very high-end shoes. It is actually a horse leather that goes through a very kind of long tanning process, and it's considered to be, really one of the best leathers. And the only brand that makes it is Horween out of Chicago. The strap is a very simple styled strap. It's a straight cut with simple stitching on it. I think it works very nicely with the watch because there is kind of this restraint and lack of pretension to the club design. So having a very simple strap is really kind of what you'd expect. And the quality is just, very high. This leather, it's kind of an interesting leather. It has a bit of a shine to it, but not too much. It feels, it's kind of almost hard to explain how it feels. You could almost describe it almost as plasticky, but it has at the same time a very nice natural leather feel. It's really quite beautiful. Taking a look at the Dunkel model now, you can see the black here has this brown stitching, also very, very nice. And you can see on the underside, shell cordovan here and stamped Nomos glass chute down at the bottom. One thing I would like to note about this is that the model that it comes on actually is a very long strap. I have to wear it on the very last hole. And I did notice you can purchase these straps extra through the Nomos store or through watchbuys.com. They cost about $90, which is actually a great deal for a strap of this quality, and one made out of shell cordovan. And you can actually get them in different sizes, which could definitely help you if you have a smaller wrist. Taking a look at the packaging of the Nomos glass chute club model, it's presented in this very nice black wooden box with a kind of a natural black stain to it. It's a very simple box, maybe one that you would more expect for a piece of jewelry, like a necklace or something. Opening it up, you can see the inside is very, very simple. You have the watch here that's just being held in with these little elastic bands, and then an instruction booklet here also being held by an elastic band. The inside has this kind of felt lining. I think it's actually kind of an interesting and real departure from a lot of the watches that we've seen. Like I said, it presents it more like jewelry than like a rugged watch, which I think is probably apt given the style of watch it is. It's not the most protective case on earth. I wouldn't really feel comfortable dropping this, but I also could see putting the watch back in here and storing it in a drawer for safekeeping much more easily than a very large bulky box. The instruction manual it comes with is really great. It is a linen-bound little booklet, very clear instructions, guarantees, all of that. Goes through the details on all of their watches and all of their movements. And it's actually surprisingly well written and only actually kind of humorous at times, which is very unexpected. So just to wrap everything up, the Nomos Club is really an exceptional watch that is kind of a real anomaly in the watch world. For $1,450 and $1,720, you're getting a genuine in-house caliber movement. If you're interested, in watchmaking, if you're interested in kind of like horology, the in-house calibers are really a critical part of that. And they're very, they're rarely seen, they're really not seen in the price range that Nomos is offering these at. And that aside, they're also just beautiful watches, very, very well finished. I think the styling on these is really exceptional. Just to show you once again, on the slightly more expensive model, you can see the in-house alpha hand-wound movement there, which is beautifully finished all around. Yeah, these might be a little more expensive than what we normally talk about a worn and wound, but in the scheme of watches, they're a genuine value. And something that I think you could really hold on to for a long time. Well, I think these would last, actually, ad infinitum. You could probably even hand this down. It's just these are just really great watches. This model is a little small on the 36mm side. I personally like that. Not something you see also that often. There are other models that range up, but the cost is a little different. So yeah, Nomos, definite brand to keep an eye on. If you're, like I said, a fan of affordable watches, they're something you just have to know about. Thanks for watching. Please read the full review at wornandwound.com. And yeah, have a great day.